Hi, Dr. Kimberley Wilson from Inspire Physical Therapy. I want to talk a little bit today about our Mercier program. It's the Shared Fertility Journey program where we work with women, couples who are struggling with issues of infertility. We're really seeing this huge sort of uptick or an increase in couples who are struggling to become pregnant. And so it's nice to kind of take a step back before stepping into those more forced fertility interventions, things like letrozole or Clomid, or those are sort of the first line of defense that we'll see in the fertility clinics. And then, of course, the more invasive like IVF. The one thing to kind of keep in mind, and I'm so thankful that we have these interventions because certainly they have helped a lot of couples who would not have otherwise been able to conceive and have babies. But it's also nice to kind of take a deep breath, take a step back, and consider that these interventions are very much a forceful way to get your body to conceive. So one of the things that's it's very unique about our bodies is we know instinctively when it's a good time to have a baby. So if your body senses that for whatever reason it's not a good time, or it might be not be a safe time for your body to conceive, and then it sort of keeps you from becoming pregnant as a way of just sort of protecting you. And so what's really nice about the Mercier program, whether or not it by itself allows you to eventually conceive in a more natural way, the way that it's, in my opinion, meant to be, or if it just sort of helps to prepare your body for one of those other more invasive interventions. It's just such a good program either way that turns out. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit today about that sort of trimester zero that we sometimes call it, or that preconception period. Some things that you could consider even before taking that next step into whether it be Mercier therapy or going to the fertility clinic to start the blood work and talk about medicine interventions, things like that. Here's some considerations for you to just start to think about to get your body ready before you go see any other clinician or any other professional about your fertility issues. So it's a complex issue for sure. Our bodies are so fearfully and wonderfully made. There's so many pieces and parts, and it's such a well-oiled machine and everything working together that if just one thing is off, it can be communicating to the other parts of your body to hold off, or not ovulate, or whatever the issue may be. So here are just some preconception things for you to consider when you're sort of like going down the list, like what things can I change? What should I be focused on? Here's some general tips and tricks for you. First of all, you definitely want to take a look at your diet and see if it needs to be cleaned up a bit. You want to consider good organic sources for your food and become a label reader. Like everything that you're going to be consuming or putting into your mouth, please read those labels and make sure that they're good, healthy, organic ingredients, things that you feel comfortable putting into your body, into your baby's body that you might potentially be carrying. So just start that now, become a good label reader, get good sourced food, good sourced meats and veggies, organic whenever possible. And just kind of a good rule of thumb is to eat brightly colored vegetables. So get a good variety on your plate with different colors. That will certainly help you mix up some of the micronutrients, because we really want densely nutritious foods that we're putting into our mouths. So fruits and vegetables a lot of times will get you those micronutrients. And you want to be thinking about getting enough protein in your diet. That's one thing that I see a ton here in my clinic. And I talk about this for lots of reasons, but certainly for fertility, you want to make sure that you're getting enough protein in your diet. General rule of thumb for most females, we should be getting somewhere between 60 and 100 grams of protein. That's a lot. And you're not going to get it in if you're not really intentional about it. So start looking at those labels, see how much protein you're consuming. Get you a little kitchen scale where you can start to weigh the grams and the ounces. Get really good at this. Once you do it a little while, like, you'll know, you don't have to like keep the scale on the counter forever, but it's a really good way of kind of training yourself, like, wow, I really am not getting enough protein in my diet. Protein will keep you much more satisfied, it will keep you fuller, and it certainly helps to balance those cortisol levels and those hormone levels. So, and I also tell all my clients to try to get at least half of your daily intake of proteins by noon, if not a little bit sooner, and maybe a little bit more than half. So front load those proteins. So if your goal is to get 100 grams of protein, then by lunchtime, I want you to have consumed at least 50 grams of protein. That is going to support your circadian rhythm. It's going to keep you much more satisfied, and it's going to help to balance off those hormone levels and those cortisol levels. And plus, you're feeding your body, so your body's going to be way more comfortable allowing you to conceive because it feels like there's enough resources in the body to handle it. So you got to give your body what it needs. Be intentional about your macros. So macros are your proteins, your healthy fats, and your complex carbs. Again, you're not going to get those in if you're not intentional. So a little bit of prep, a little bit of meal prep, a little bit of just thinking about what you need before you go to the grocery, but plan. You're not going to get those on the fly if you're not intentional about it. And then your micros, those are going to come largely from your fruits and vegetables because you're wanting a lot of nutrients in your foods. Keep it simple, but healthy. It doesn't have to be a dozen different things. It just has to be 3 or 4 good solid sources that you add to your plate every day. It gives it some color, gives it some nutrients. And then, of course, I want to talk a little bit about movement and exercise. But for that, I would say a lot of times where the mistakes are made is just not knowing where to start. And so it's good to meet your body where it's at. So if you're somebody that you don't exercise at all, haven't thought about exercising in a long time, meet your body where it's at and just start simple. Start taking some short walks, preferably outside, and just get your body moving. That will certainly help also prepare your body. Let your body know that you can handle a pregnancy. You're able to do this. If you are on the opposite end of the spectrum where maybe you're working out really at a high level for 5 to 7 days a week, then we might be having that conversation that maybe you scale that back just a little bit so that your body doesn't feel so stressed, so physically stressed, because that can certainly interrupt things like ovulation and your menstrual cycle in general if you are doing too much. It just depends on where you're at. And if conception is what you're looking to gain, if you're trying to get pregnant, then you're going to have to give your body what it needs. And sometimes that means less than what you're doing. So just some things to think about there in terms of movement and exercise. And then the other thing that you want to think about is sleep. Oh, we have to give our bodies enough sleep and good quality sleep. And that is a big one in this day and time. Oh man. So many stressors. We've got physical stressors, emotional stressors, so many distractions. So, we're all going to bed with our phones. Our alarms are on our phone. We've constantly got that going so that our minds are just constantly stimulated. So you're going to have to give it a break. If getting good quality sleep is an issue for you, then you're going to have to make some changes. If what you're doing is not interrupting your sleep, it maybe just needs some small tweaks. But if you're somebody that does not in general get good sleep, then we need to make some serious changes. So some things you want to think about: turning off your phone, of course. That's an easy thing to do. It's simple. Just turn your phone off a couple hours before you get ready to go to bed, so that your brain can start winding down, and you can just learn to enjoy some quiet time. So I would say turn the phone off, but that also includes, your computer, the television, like all those stimulants. If you're a video game player, like all those things that just keep you stimulated, we want to start to quiet those down a little bit before bedtime, so that your body starts to get in that sleep mode. Getting outside in nature certainly can help with sleep. Our body needs to make vitamin D, and that means getting out in the sunshine. So you can supplement with those things, but it's not exactly the same as actually being out there in the sunshine. Get your body moving, and it just does a lot for your stress levels to be outdoors. Calm your mind. So there's different ways that we can approach that. Certainly, a little bit of mindfulness or meditation. Just a little side note on meditation. This is something that I've sort of changed my mindset a little bit about, especially in today's time where we are so sedentary a lot of times with our jobs, that it doesn't make sense to make somebody lie down on a yoga mat for 15 minutes and not do anything after they've been sedentary all day long with their work. They can't help that. That's just the way the work is designed. But we certainly want to give the mind some rest. And so that's kind of the point of meditation anyway, is to quiet the mind and be a little bit introspective. And sometimes the best way to do that is to get moving. And so it might be that 15-minute walk in the park, or taking your dog for a walk where you don't have something going. So we don't have music playing, we don't have all this noise that stimulates the mind, but we're just trying to quiet the mind. Don't let it race and think about all the things that you have to do, but your body's still moving. So that's a good option too. That can be your meditation. You can do a movement meditation. If you're busy throughout the day, if your job requirements are very physical and very demanding, then yeah, absolutely. 15 minutes on a yoga mat where you can just chill and try to quiet your mind is the perfect remedy. So there's all kinds of ways that you can tweak that. Main thing is finding things that make you feel happy and give you joy and allow you to kind of quiet your mind a little bit. So going along with that, we've also got to manage those stressors. Whether they be physical stressors or emotional stressors or mental stressors. We got to rein those in if we want to have good quality sleep. So certainly diaphragmatic breathing, and know that I've talked about that in previous videos, probably multiple times, because I'm a big believer. I think it's one of the best things that you can do, but that can also be helpful too for quieting down those stressors. You just have to do it. You can't think about doing it. You got to do it for it to work. And then, of course, if you're somebody that you're drinking regularly or smoking, those things, we need to start getting those out of your life as well, to help you get better quality sleep and improve your health in general, for sure. Another question that I get asked a lot in terms of just kind of getting your body ready for a baby is like, what kind of supplements should I be taking? And a lot of people, they'll go out to the pharmacies and just pick up a bottle of prenatals, which is great, but just something to consider is look at the label. Again, be a good label reader. And I want you to look for something called methylated folate versus just folic acid. So folic acid is a more synthetic form of folate, and folate being a type of vitamin vitamin B rather. And one of the things that folate does is it helps your body to produce DNA, and it supports that red blood cell formation in your body. Very, very important, again, in conception and fertility and growing an embryo into a fetus and all those things. Gotta have good folate. So important, especially early on in the pregnancy. So the folic acid it's a synthetic form of that folate. And what happens if it's just folic acid, then it relies on your liver to convert that folic acid into the methylated folate. And so it's that extra step in your body. And sometimes if your body's not functioning at the highest level already and you're asking it to do some more conversions, then that's just one more step that we have to worry about. So look for the ingredients and make sure it says methylated folate, because that doesn't have to be converted. Interestingly enough, that methylated folate is kind of known within the medical community to have a high bioavailability. And all that is medical speak or jargon for meaning that it's very easy for your body to absorb. So why wouldn't we want the methylated folate versus the folic acid? So let's just cut out that middleman, look for the methylated folate on the label. And so, if you're trying to conceive, you definitely want to get the prenatal vitamins that has the methylated folate. And you probably want at least 400 micrograms daily. It varies on the different labels. Some will have a lot higher content than that, but a bare minimum, we want at least 400 micrograms per day of methylated folate. Okay, and then on a lesser note, there are a couple of, I get to ask this question too, like what about red raspberry tea or red clover tea? Those are all good kind of supplemental actions as well. Red raspberry has been shown to improve the overall health of the uterus. And so it can help with things like the cervical mucus and improving the quality of the cervical mucus, which is absolutely super, super duper important when you're trying to conceive, because we want the sperm to not only, we want it to thrive. And so the cervical mucus quality and quantity, it plays a key role in that. So we want it to survive and make it to fertilize the egg. So the red raspberry tea can help with that, support the uterus. And then the red clover tea also can be a good adjunct for supporting the lymph system. So just the overall lymph system in your body to, so you have better lymph drainage, and which also supports your appropriate hormone levels and your endocrine system in general. So just, and your teas are pretty safe. They're not very concentrated. If you're only steeping your tea for like 10 to 15 minutes, it's a very kind of safe and gentle way to sort of introduce those support systems in your body. So absolutely go for those two things when you're trying to conceive. Okay, so a few things that we've listed here today, all good stuff, whether you're trying to conceive or not. But if you are trying to conceive and we're having some issues with that, then obviously there's some reason that you're not able to conceive. So let's start cleaning up that diet. Let's be real intentional about movement. Let's meet your body where it's at. Let's try to get better sleep. Let's add in some good supplements, and think about maybe drinking some good teas to help you relax as well. And you can get some teas with different blends. Some will have like chamomile and peppermint and spearmint. And so those are just nice little in the evening to help you wind down. So they all work really well together, all of these tips to get you in a fertility mindset, which is what we're all about here. So again, Mercier program, 100% believer. I've seen it work way too many times to not be a believer. It's amazing how when we get our body moving, especially the reproductive organs, we get them talking to each other, we get the blood flowing, good things happen. And so please consider that if you're trying to conceive and having some difficulty. Let's get your body ready before implantation so that once fertilization happens, we have a successful pregnancy, and let's give it all the things that help to support that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I've been working hard with the lady that helps to manage all of my marketing and things like that. And so we have also added a Mercier resource page on the website, all kinds of good things. So please do your research, dive in, take all the time you need. And then if you feel like you need some support, then we would be more than happy to help you. Reach out with your questions, and we'll do everything that we can to get you moving in the right direction. So I hope that you find this information helpful, and I hope that you have an incredible fertility journey. And if your desire is to have babies, I hope you have lots of babies and happy, healthy pregnancies. And if I can do anything to assist with that, please don't hesitate to reach out. So have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.